Good morning. I'm Bishop Michael McGovern, and we're here in real time as we have our regular podcast in the Diocese of Belleville here in Southern Illinois. Very glad to be with you this June as we've turned the page now from the month of May to the month of June. And our very special guest today on our podcast is Monsignor John Myler, who's presently the rector of the Cathedral of St. Peter in Belleville. We're joined by Brianna, our editor and producer, and very glad to be with all of you today. So, Monsignor John Myler, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm fine, Bishop. It's the 1st of June, as you said, and a busy week for the diocese, a busy week coming up at the cathedral, but it'll be a week of great joy.
Wonderful. I agree with you completely. So, Monsignor, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, I know as I've been here for 2 years in the diocese, gotten to know you a bit, and I think a number of the people in the diocese know you from your many years of priesthood and service. But tell us a little bit about your life, as growing up, your family. You're from East St. Louis, I remember.
Right, the Diocese of Belleville is my home. East St. Louis Holy Angels Parish, which no longer exists except in the hearts of those who were fed by the Lord and baptized. And after school there, 8 years of Catholic grade school and 4 years of Catholic high school, which was then Assumption Catholic High School, which is now a prison. Of course, we knew back then it was a prison. But and then I was at St. Louis University for 7 years, studying communication arts, which I enjoyed every day. And then finishing my master's there, I was offered a position as faculty member, which I did and I enjoyed completely. But the idea of priesthood was always there from my family, from my parish, from my prayer and my personal spirituality. Can I tell you, that when I was confirmed in the 8th grade, there were probably 90 of us 8th graders confirmed in those days. And we had to form a line from the front of the church back to the front door of the rectory so that after the confirmation, Bishop Zerwest could walk and we would be on either side. And being the shortest boy in the 8th grade, I was closest to the rectory door and had to greet the bishop and open the door for him. And Bishop Zerwest was a very tall man, and then wearing a mitre, even taller. And as he got to the door, he turned to me and he said, "This one right here, this would make a good priest." "Thank you, Bishop." And then I didn't think about it for years after that. But the call was sort of always there. And so after college and after teaching, I was 25 when I went to the seminary and 28 when I was ordained. And at that time, I was known as a belated vocation, 3 years later than usual. Now, our youngest priest, as we speak today, is ordained close to 30. And that number gets higher and higher. But so by the time I was ordained, I went to the seminary and was ordained. Those were the first years of John Paul II. So he was a great inspiration to me.
Absolutely, yes. And I agree with you. I entered the seminary at 26 years of age, and I had been out of college for years. And they used to be referred to as specials because you didn't go through the high school and the college seminary. So, but I would just say I'm grateful for your vocation. And I know many people are grateful that you heard the Lord's call and how providential that Bishop Zerwest encouraged you on that day of your confirmation. Tell me about, as a priest over the years now, for many years in the Belleville Diocese, what have been some of your assignments that you have enjoyed, things that maybe were formative for you, that you'd say, by the time you concluded somewhere, you really felt like you had grown? Could you share a little bit of that?
Sure. A newly ordained deacon and then priest has a great joy in his first assignment. And I was assigned as a deacon, transitional deacon, to Our Lady Queen of Peace in Belleville. And Monsignor Driscoll was the pastor, Father Keating was the co-pastor, and I was the young deacon, the young priest who was supposed to take care of the school and visit with the kids and all that, which I enjoyed tremendously. But I wasn't there after I was ordained priest. Then Bishop John Worm assigned me to the cathedral and had told me he hoped that we had many happy years working together. But Bishop Worm contracted cancer and was gone within 2 years. But I stayed at the cathedral as an associate for 5 years. At that time, there were 4 priests at the cathedral: the rector, Monsignor McCormick, may he rest in peace, Father Bill McGee, and myself, and then usually one of the Althoff priests or priests who had a special ministries. There were four of us. It was a busy place. Now, of course, I'm back at the cathedral as rector for the last 15 years after those five, and things are different.
Yeah, I was going to say, what would be some of the things you noticed? I like, for instance, I lived 1 year as a resident priest at the Cathedral of the Holy Name in Chicago, and cathedral parishes can be very different than your typical parish. Some things would be diocesan ceremonies, some things would be civic occasions. Tell us a little bit about what you have seen over the years at the Cathedral of St. Peter, where you'd say these were these were special times, these were challenging times.
The special times at the cathedral are always those great events of, I must say, we went through a period there where we did nothing but bury bishops for a while. But that always means then that a new bishop is coming and there's an installation of a new bishop. The rectors of cathedrals in the United States get together about once a year. During this COVID time, it's been a little different, but there'll be another one coming up soon. And around the table or at lunch, the conversation is always about how can a parish be both a parish and a cathedral? That's a challenge, but it's also great grace, a great grace that you're able to serve as a priest in the very place that you were ordained, to have that close cooperation with bishops, old and new, young and old, and at the same time, baptize the babies, marry the couples, lots of weddings at the cathedral, bury the dead. And for me, a special joy has been, and this doesn't differ whether it's a small parish or large parish, whether it's a cathedral or a mission, we encounter people in the sacrament of reconciliation. And cathedral, we schedule confessions every day, not just once a week. And that is a great ministry that cathedrals are able to offer to people, besides the grandeur, besides the beauty, besides the music, the art, in addition to all of the environmental things that make a cathedral so magnificent. It's that encounter in Christ that is really most important and most fulfilling.
Absolutely, and well said. With something like Christmas, I know you love Christmas. You have a lot of nativity scenes that you've collected over the years, and I know that you put a great deal of effort into preparing for Christmas. What's Christmas like at the Cathedral of St. Peter?
Well, in many ways, I would imagine Christmas, in some ways, is like it is in all parishes. Lots of strange faces. But that is good. I would never say on Christmas anything snarky like, well, it's good to see some of you. I know we won't see you. No, would never say that. The Spirit moves people and from wherever they are. So Christmas is full of masses, full of concerts, full of confessions, getting ready for the Christmas season, and very traditional in a sense. That the 120-year-old nativity set is brought out. The poinsettias go here and here, not there and there. This is a part of our Catholic family that, in the same way, the tree goes in this corner and the stockings go on that mantle. A parish family too, and especially the cathedral, keeps those traditions as beautifully as we can.
Very good, wonderful, and I'm very grateful. I think many people are for the traditions that we have at the Cathedral of St. Peter, and that it really is a touchstone for many people who perhaps they go to a different parish during the year, but they love to come to the cathedral at, say, Christmas time or at Easter season. Many people, as I've been in Belleville now 2 years, comment about, they've been to the cathedral for a wedding, for a funeral. So it certainly is a place that many people have come to experience the Lord, especially at some of the most joyful and difficult times of life. Tell me about, we have the ordination of Thomas Lugie to the priesthood this coming Saturday. Think of, many of our priests have been ordained at the cathedral, yourself included. What is it, your hope with young Thomas being ordained? When you reflect on priesthood, you've been a priest for 40 years, you're celebrating your Jubilee this year. What are some things about the priesthood that you hope that a newly ordained priest will experience?
Well, I have nothing but joy in my heart as Thomas' ordination comes upon us. I've known Tommy since he was 9 years old. He's been my parishioner. And I must say that even at 9 years old, I knew him to be a pious, joyful, intelligent, a young kid. And he is not disappointed in any of those ways. I would hope that Thomas will be a priest who is faithful and who is joyful and who is always willing to learn, and more than anything else, does those priestly things for his feeds them in the Eucharist, baptizes them to wash away sin, is with them at weddings, is with them, as you said, Bishop, at funerals. And I don't know where he'll be assigned, but I'm sure wherever he goes, there will be plenty of that going on.
And I'm very enthused. This is the first time I'll ordain me into the priesthood as a bishop. And so, what a wonderful young man to do this to start with. But one of the things I was reflecting on too was just sort of good listeners in the parlor when somebody comes to share with you, good listeners in the confessional, when people are bringing their very lives before the Lord through that ministry. But I think about how often people can come to you as a priest and, share their lives, and no 2 days are the same. There's always different things that happen, and there's things in your calendar, but it's always that unexpected visit when somebody says, Father, can I have a moment with you? And Thomas, as he's ordained a priest, is just to always be able to, through the power of prayer and the grace of the sacrament, to be a good listener and good shepherd for the people. Monsignor, tell me now, as you're this summer going to conclude as rector of the cathedral, and you're going to enter into retirement, what does that mean, when you think about retirement? Because our listeners, I think they have in their mind, well, this is what people do when they retire. But for a priest, and especially a priest like yourself with so many interests, what do you see retirement? What's it going to be like, you think?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned, Bishop, that there's a difference between a retirement that is, okay, go sit under a palm tree and you're put out to pasture, and a priest is a priest forever. The letter to Hebrews tells us that Jesus Christ, a priesthood that is more perfect and everlasting than the priesthood of the Old Covenant. And so if you're ordained a priest of Jesus Christ, you are never retired from that. But there's another definition of the word retire, which is not popular. People think of retire and they think stopping working. But there's also a retire that was used in the past when people would say, I'm going to retire to my room now. I'll be back in the morning. If you watch Downton Abbey, they use it all the time. And so the sense of retiring to something different is, I hope, a creative way to still serve the people of the diocese, to still do what Jesus Christ wants us to do. I've asked you, Bishop, 3 things. If I might help at a place that doesn't have a resident priest, if I might be available during the week, not just on Saturdays, but during the week for confessions at area parishes. And then third, if I may never have to attend another meeting as long as I live. I say that only half in jest. But we can retire to do priestly things. Somebody else can worry about the property and the parking lot, about the payroll, about scheduling. All those things our good laymen and women can do. But more and more, we're reaching a point where our priests must do priestly things and put priority there. So that's the priority of my retirement, not to do nothing, but to do priestly things.
Absolutely. And I think you do priestly things very well. And that's much appreciated. And I think you're right. I always remember a very respected pastor. I knew him in Chicago, but when he concluded after many years of being a pastor of a very large parish in the Southwest Side, he moved to a different parish, and there his real joy was preparing children for First Communion. That's what he wanted to do in his 70s, and that's what he did very well. So I think you never retire from being a priest, but that sense of being able to be available and to be there where people are looking for a priest. And you're correct that some of our administrative responsibilities, I think we're all glad when the time comes to let go of those and really put our time and effort and energy into sacramental life and prayer and being with people in a priestly way.
You know, when I spoke with my spiritual director about this, and what I'd hoped to do and speak with you about, my spiritual director said, what you're asking to do is to be a hospital chaplain of the soul.
Right.
This is, Pope Francis tells us, you know, the world today, the church is in the middle of a battlefield, and there are many who are injured. And to go to the peripheries, to be available to those who maybe have been put aside for one reason or the other, or have put themselves aside, and to treat their wounds and to lift them up. So that's exactly what Pope Francis is calling the whole church to do. And by that, he doesn't mean you have to go 2,000 miles away. You can just be 2 blocks away from who needs you.
Right. And then to be able to respond and be attentive, to notice the need, and to be able to respond generously. Well, Monsignor Myler, anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Oh, you know, there's a little prayer, Bishop, that you say and I say, and every priest who offers the Mass says right before we receive Holy Communion. We don't say it aloud, and people don't hear it. But the thrust of one of those prayers is, keep me faithful to your teaching and never let me be parted from you. That's a pretty good prayer, I think, for all of our years, but especially for our later years. Keep me faithful to your commands, to your teaching, and never let me be parted from the Lord.
Thank you, Monsignor. That's well said. And so again, a great appreciation for your 40 years of priestly ministry as you prepare to conclude at the Cathedral of St. Peter. Thank you for all the ways you served as an assistant and then as rector many years. But we look forward to the years ahead. And as you write the next chapter of your priestly life, we look forward to seeing the great work that you'll continue to do.
Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you. And so I want to sign off then today. Bishop Michael McGovern here with our special guest, Monsignor John Myler, with Brianna Whalen, our director and producer. Thank you for joining us for Real Time with Bishop McGovern. And tune in for our next episode very soon. God bless you all. Thank you.